A few considerations that I think might make sense for having a dual enrollment student in a college classroom. We mentioned FERPA, and we mentioned permission and needing family permission for things like contracts and pictures. Some of the other issues, though, have to do with making sure that both the political and religious affiliation of a student or parent are not disclosed, or they're not utilized in the course of a classroom. Minors are protected or in that way, in a way that an adult can give consent. Also, if there are any concerns around physical or mental health, that be referred to back to their high school. It's not appropriate that a teacher make a referral for a minor, for instance, to an emotional health support group, because a minor can't, well, sometimes they can, but sometimes there are limitations on what they can participate in. I also think sometimes in some courses, depending on the content, teachers should be aware that with minors in the classroom, some of the content may need to be, I don't want to say the word altered, because teachers have freedom to instruct within the content, their area of expertise, but discussions around sexual behaviors, around sexual preference, some of that could be protected with a minor, and a parent does have the right to kind of understand the curriculum that their son or daughter may be participating in. And that clearly there are some families that would not agree to dual enrollment in a college because of the kinds of information that are not in line with their family beliefs. But I also think that there's a level of uncomfortableness having a minor in a classroom where you're discussing things that are very adult oriented. So I believe there are some classes that are just not really appropriate for dual enrollment students based on the topic. So it's just something to think about. FERPA covers things like, for instance, having a critical appraisal of someone in a minor's family. So if you're talking about family systems and you're critical of all types of parents that fall into this category, or all kinds of people who have this religious belief, or all kinds of people with this sexual orientation, that would not be, I think, an effective curriculum presentation for an adult student either. But with a minor, there are some FERPA considerations that children should not be subjected to content that calls them out or calls out their family. I think that when you're collecting data on high school students, it has to be anonymous. You can't use students' names, and that would include survey data. It should be blind, and also when you're publishing data, it has to be in that same way unless you get permission from their family. I think if I were to look, generalize kind of the main differences between having high school students in a classroom as opposed to adults in a college classroom, one would be the social dependence of teens on either friends or peers in the classroom. And it's not just a little preference, it's a need. And so building in both time and permission in the course content to allow kids to work together and to support each other. I also think we mentioned the time management issue and the differences around understanding the concept of time. the need, kind of some of the basic needs, movement, the need for food, the need to get up, and having multiple modalities for learning. I also think not assuming things about being able to do out of class work. We talked about small group work with adults or even with peers, but realize that some students have pretty firm curfews. They can't go out at night, or they can't go to a community agency to do a visit. They're just not allowed to, or they're restricted to certain activities. So a student's grade should not be dependent on an out-of-class assignment that they're just not allowed to do. There should be some options. I think finally realizing that the teen brain is different than the adult brain, and really for the teacher understanding that some of our adult students are actually in the same developmental stage. So really understanding teen development helps us to understand adult development and actually makes us more effective teachers. Because we all have students that are 18 to 24. And that just because they have a birthday doesn't mean they suddenly are more mature. But really trying to adapt the curriculum for someone that's in a stage of development that is has some of the characteristics that I discussed, I think would help us as teachers to meet the needs of many of our younger students. Oh, can I just add sleep? I think I mentioned first class, talking about food, talking about personal needs, but really stressing the issue of sleep. Most teens in this country aren't getting enough sleep. When they're growing, they need more sleep than adults typically need. And your average amount of sleep per night that a teenager is getting is about 6 hours a night, and what they really need is 9 hours. So they're coming to school at a sleep deficit. Very often your dual enrollment students are really busy students. That's why they're dual enrollment students. And they may be sleeping even less. And that impacts not only their school performance, but their mood and their health and their tolerance for change and all kinds of things. So really explaining to them that having, their basic needs met, sleep, food, just real basic stuff, will help them do better in class and help them cope. So you can even do a sleep survey. And then I always talk about nutrition and what healthy snacks are, because I think that improves the outcome.